Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is I Rant 2 with Xavier D. Lewis, a podcast where we dive into real life issues, where we share inspiring stories, and where we talk about life, culture, and everything in between. I'm your host, Xavier D. Lewis, and whether you're tuning in at your commute, you're at your job, you're at work, you're at your home by yourself with somebody else, look, I just thank you for tuning in. In each episode, we're going to dive into some personal growth topics. We're going to dive into some cultural topics. We're going to dive into these things, and we're going to have a little fun with it too. And this season, we also have a few expert guests to talk about their experiences and to provide their unique background on things. Look, if you're watching on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to go ahead and give me that like in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you know when we're dropping new content. And of course, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at I Rant 2 with Xavier D. Lewis. Look, let's go ahead and get right into today's episode. And don't ever forget this. They rant, you rant, but I rant too. Enjoy the episode. What's going on? You already know what it is. You heard the intro. This is another episode of I Rant 2 with Xavier D. Lewis. And of course, you know what? Here we go. You're going to have to help me out with it. This is Xavier D. Lewis, and this is the Lewis Brand. You already know it. Thank you so much for doing it with me. I love y'all so much. Look, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Look, before we hop into this episode, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, hit the like button, leave something in the comments, share this with your family members. In the words of Kurt Franklin, share it with your mother, your sister, your brother, your cousin. Share it with everybody. Share it with everybody. This podcast is, essentially for individuals who's all about trying to get to that next step in your life. You're trying to know how to curate your life better. You might just want some morning encouragement if you're driving into work. Maybe you're watching this, you're getting ready to lay down for the night, and you needed something to stimulate your mind before you go to sleep. Or maybe you're watching this midday on your lunch. Whenever you're watching this, thank you so much for watching this with us. If you're watching or you're just listening via any podcasting platform, thank you so much. Make sure to go ahead and follow. Make sure to hit that bell. Do anything to make sure you're up to date. Follow us on social media platforms. Well, not us. I mean, it's me. But we speaking into it existence. Amen. It's going to be in us. But follow me on my social media platform. We talked about this last episode. New main social media platform for my personal page, Xavier D. Lewis. But if you go right to I Ran 2 with Xavier D. Lewis, you can follow the podcast page there. Facebook, Xavier D. Lewis. TikTok, The Lewis Brand. YouTube, The Lewis Brand. We are, I am here. I always see, look at me, always speaking into existence. I always say we, because I just know it's already a team of individuals helping me do all of this. But right now it's just me, and I have a team within myself, amen, inside, treasures inside hidden vessels, earthen vessels, amen. But I'm very, very excited to do this episode. We have a very, very, it's a serious topic today, but I wanted to shine some light on this because I think it still gets overlooked a lot in modern day times. It just kind of breezed over a little bit, because it's a lot going on in the world, and you might not find this to be urgent, and that's fine. I understand. But I'm steadily approaching my 23rd year of life. On April 26th, I'll be 23 years old, and I am super excited about that. But one thing that I've been very, very cognizant of lately, very, very aware, where I'm trying to be more aware of, is my mental health. And so, today we're talking about black men, mental health, and the silent struggle no one talks about. Because let's get real, black men are struggling, and no one is talking about it. Black men are struggling, and no one is talking about it. Now, granted, it's a difficult conversation to have because of the history that precedes it. But I was having a conversation with someone the other day. I work here in New Orleans, and I stay here in New Orleans. And just if you live in the South in general, the history of the South are difficult conversations to have. Because now there are museums and there are plantations with antebellum homes and everything now that surround these things, and they're tourist attractions now, but not, and I say not too long ago because in the grand scope of time, in the grand scheme of times, it wasn't that long ago, but not too long ago, these things, these places that are now tourist attractions were the whole world in which it was the whole world in which a black man would be stripped of his identity, Come on, let's just go there. We're going to go there today. Let's just go there. Where he was stripped of his identity, made to be less than a man, less than a human, and treated as such. Black men are struggling, and no one is talking about it. They're struggling in the areas of stress. They're struggling because they're dealing with mental health issues. They are dealing with mental health problems, and no one wants to talk about it because no one wants to go get diagnosed, because you sweep things up under the rug in the black household. You don't get it dealt with. You just sweep it up under the rug. They're dealing with society's expectations. The black man is struggling, and no one is talking about it. Why is that? Why is no one talking about it? Why is no one in mass bringing these things to light? Thank you. Again, don't get me wrong. I'm no Dr. Umar. Love Dr. Umar. I'm no Dr. Umar. But black men are struggling. I'm going to keep repeating this, and no one is talking about it. Here I am coming to be 23 years old, and I'm learning, and I'm steady having to deal with what society expects of me. How am I dealing with my own stress levels? How am I dealing with these things? And it all starts off with the unspoken pressures of life, right? How men, especially black men, are conditioned to be strong at all cost. At all cost, black men are expected to be strong and never to appear to be weak. So what does this look like? This looks like, oh, you a man, men don't cry. And these are things we've been hearing in our households. These are things we've been hearing in our times for decades and decades. You can't let them see you stumble. You can't let them see you do these things. You know who I'm reminded of? I'm reminded of Eli Pope from Scandal. Black men are struggling and no one is talking about it. Eli Pope in Scandal felt like he had to be power. He felt like he had to be command. And if you watch an Eli Pope monologue, it is one of the most beautiful things in the world. I can't think of what the actual name is, but good Lord Almighty, he can do a monologue. I don't know if he's ever won an award for a monologue, but Jesus Christ, somebody get him an award right now for the monologues he delivered in Scandal. But him talking to Olivia, saying that you have to be 10 times better to get half of what they have. Huh? That's the black man. That's the disparity of the black condition. Not just the black man, just the black condition altogether. So we have to be 10 times better just to get half of what they have. Man, dealing about the unspoken pressures of what we go through in everyday life, how we're expected to keep our head held high, no tears should fall. The world has to be on our shoulders. The unspoken pressures, right? We're expected to know how to complete certain tasks. I remember growing up, I don't too much have them anymore. I mean, that's because I know how to better mitigate them now, but I used to have very bad allergies. But one of the necessities growing up for me, you got to know how to cut that grass. Now, even though I'm out there I'm about to go into a complete fit cutting this grass because my allergies are acting up. You got to know how to put it. And we ain't talking about no riding lawnmower. We talking about a push mower. You going to push that lawnmower and I'm out there struggling. I'm like, and you better not have them lines crooked either. You got to go in straight lines. You got to know how to curve that thing to where you don't miss the other piece, because then you're going to have you're going to have that slight sliver that's not cut too well. You got to know how to do these things. You got to know how to be not emotionally intelligent, but you have to know how to suppress all emotions. Because at any given point in time, if you're not around those you deem to be comfortable, if you're not around those that actually know you, even as young as the age of 14, you could be deemed too aggressive. Oh, he cries too much. He's not strong. Oh, he's too aggressive. He's too weak. He's too this, he's too that. I didn't realize it growing up. I used to feel anger towards things that I had no reason why I felt anger towards it. Things that I felt unspoken pressure for. Things that I felt like I just inherited because I was a black man, being raised to be a black man. And things I felt like I just had to deal with. Growing up angry. And if you know me, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about my sister Denaya and how, her take on this would be concerning knowing me personally and just how I am. I'm a person, I am unaware of my true strength because I've always been afraid to show it because I'm afraid of what the outcome could be. So I don't know the depth and the range of my true strength or my true anger and all this kind of stuff because I've never let it out before because I was afraid of what the narrative might be concerning that situation. But we're dealing with these things. The unspoken pressures of life is the black man dealing with, right? So you're dealing with stress, dealing with anxiety. Some black men are dealing with depression. And some might say that, depression is just, depression is a luxury because to be depressed means that you have the luxury to just put your life on pause and be depressed. But you could be just like there are functioning alcoholics. We could go down that route because that has been something that we've seen, very heavily in the black male community. Functioning alcoholics, you're functioning crackheads. Let's be real. Functioning drug addicts, functioning addicted to anything, functioning womanizers, all of these different things. We think just because you're not completely consumed by it, that you're not still one of it, but you're dealing with it, and you're still going through it. The ignorance and the ignoring of these mental health conversations has pushed the black man into these areas, right? It's pushed the black man into anxiety. I see it more and more in my generation, how I see young Gen Zers, black male Gen Zers, they're unable to hold a job for too long because at some point they're just overcome with anxiety concerning the job. They're overcome with so many different things. They're depressed and they're functioning depression. So they go to work, they don't do anything. They have no community. They have no one to be surrounded by. The people that are surrounding them, if they have them, they don't know how to deal with it. You talk about how your trauma manifests in real life. You dealt with not having a father. So you go out and you have a child and you're not there for that child. We talk about the black man. And I'm not here to create excuses for the black man. More so, I'm here to hold us accountable. Because I'm one of you. We are together in this thing. So this episode, nothing against anybody else. If you're a different race, if you're not a man, you're a black woman listening to this. This is still, listen alongside this episode because I want to keep us accountable as well. And I also want to ask you for help alongside that, especially from black women. I'm sorry. This is one thing I'll always say. One of the greatest things a black man can do for the black community is marry a black woman. Okay. We can argue about that later on. I just firmly agree with that. I love that. Now, if you are in an interracial relationship or interracial marriage, beautiful. I love it. I don't have any problem against it. But I feel like one of the greatest things a black man can do for the black community is marry a black woman. So you deal with all these things, and when you ignore your mental health, it bleeds into everything else. So now here you are at 30 years old, have yet to hold a stable job. You have 2-3 different baby mamas. You using their cars. You don't have, if you have credit, the credit is poor. You don't have a savings. Your finances are all over the place. Let's keep going down the list. But somehow, in some way, you always got money to be out in the streets doing whatever you're doing. You have no real succession plan for your children because you're out in dangerous situations. But you're not thinking about anybody else around you. You're only thinking about yourself. I said it in the last episode. I'm not thinking about myself in the long term. In the long term, I am nothing but a dot in the timeline that is life. And I'm not talking about just my life. I'm talking about the lifetime of this world. I'm nothing but a little dot on it. And if I truly want to make an impact, it's going to happen oftentimes after I'm already dead. Right? I could go this way. I'm sorry. Let's go there. Jesus. Not much time on this earth. His greatest impact Jesus the Christ, his greatest impact happened after he had already ascended back into heaven. If you want to be less religious, Martin Luther King, great impact while he was here. His greatest impacts happened after he had already gone. Right? The impact that you want to have on this world, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a little side detour right here. The impact that you want to have on this world, most of it in great amount will happen once you get ready to, it will happen after you've already gone. So you're making reckless decisions, you're doing all of this, and it's bleeding out because you haven't dealt with the true problem, and that's your mental health. It'll bleed out into your physical health. Watch this. Some individuals, okay, here we go. Hi, me. I'm talking to me now. Because you haven't dealt with your mental health, now you're obese, or you're on the opposite end of the spectrum. Now you're anorexic, right? All of these different things is bleeding into your eating habits. It's bleeding into your financial habits. It's bleeding into everything else because you won't deal with what the true root of the problem is. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Xavier D. Lewis from I Ran Too with Xavier D. Lewis. I hope you're all doing great today. Before we dive back into our conversation, I want to take a quick moment to talk about something I think you'll all really love. So you know how we're always chatting about making positive changes and improving our lives, right? Well, I've got something that can help you do just that. I'm talking about my new ebook, The X Agent: How to Invoke Change in Your Daily Life in 5 Steps. It's packed with practical steps to help you start making those changes you've been thinking about. And guess what? It's not just an ebook. When you grab the X Agent, you also get a daily transformation checklist and get the interactive journal. These tools are designed to help you stay on track and make these changes stick. It's like having a personal coach right there with you. But here's the kicker. Right now, we're running a special deal just for you, my awesome podcast listeners. For a limited time, you can get anything and everything at 15% off with the discount code IRANT2. Just head over to xavierlewis.gumroad.com and use the code at checkout. Trust me, guys, this is more than just a book. It's a guide to transforming your life. And who doesn't want to level up, right? So take action today. Visit xavierlewis.gumroad.com. Use the code IRAN2 at checkout and receive your 15% discount. Let's get right back into our conversation for the day. You feel like you have no purpose. You feel like you have no direction. You feel like you have no community. Let's deal with it. Let's deal with it. Let's have the tough conversations. I'll say this all the time. I'm grateful to have been raised by the oldest son. My dad is the oldest child of 7, and I'm the youngest son, so I'm number 5 out of 6. But I'm grateful to have been raised by one of 7, even though I'm 5 of 6, because the one of 7 raised me as if I was the one of 6. My father, because he was the oldest, raised me as if I was the oldest. So he made sure I knew how to do everything. He made sure I knew how to wash clothes, iron clothes, wash dishes. He made sure I understood how to clean a house, clean the room, mop floors. Come on, somebody. Wash them baseboards. This, in the household I grew up in, that wasn't just stuff for the females to do. That was stuff that everybody in that household had to know how to do because that's how my father was raised as the oldest. It wasn't no such thing as male and female tasks. It was, you're going to learn how to do it because there's going to come a day when you don't have a woman around. Oh, let's talk about that. How certain men are keeping a woman around just so he doesn't have to learn how to do regular common things. Still had to learn how to change a tire and wash them clothes. And we ain't talking about just throwing all the clothes in there together. You're going to have to order, all right, see, the people don't do this no more. You're going to separate them into whites, darks, lights. Your church clothes, you get them sent to the cleaner so they can be pressed and ironed. Right? All this stuff. And if you're my daddy's child, you're going to get them heavy starch. My daddy used to get his jeans starched. He still would to this day if we let him. And them jeans would be standing up on their own. They don't do that no more. But I said all that to say, I'm super grateful to have been raised by a black man being born in 1968 and have experienced experienced the injustice of the justice system. My father was put into the penitentiary, all these different things. He sold drugs and all that kind of stuff. And then this man becomes my father. which I'm so grateful for. So now I have all of this to be raised on, and thankfully, here we go. Thankfully, I don't have to have those experiences myself because I understood the concept of wisdom, and wisdom is I don't have to go through the experience to learn from it. That's wisdom. I don't have to go through it to learn from it. So here I am, experiencing life from this lens. Don't be so soft. Not that, and let me put it like this. Because that statement can be taken so many different ways, right? Oh, don't be so soft. Because I feel like a lot of people nowadays are very soft. And I say that in the statement of, they have no ability for tough skin. It's like I said, it's two ends of the spectrum. Same spectrum, just two ends. We have a generation now that's so soft. Then you had a generation then that was too hard. Thankfully, because of my father's experience and what I'm seeing in real time, I'm able to find that good middle point where I know how to give grace, but I also know when to call out like, I don't know. So I'm at this sweet spot, right, where I'm like, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. I said all that to say, cycles have to be broken. And in order for cycles to be broken, the tough conversations need to be had. You're going out and sleeping with X amount of women because you feel like that you didn't have a great relationship with your mother. So you're trying to find a motherly figure in the women that you're sleeping with. Come here, black man. You can't keep a job because you have a problem with authority. Let's dive deep into these areas. Because it's these areas that we find true healing and we find true freedom. Therapy. I grew up in the black church. A lot of individuals, okay, here we go. A lot of individuals that grew up in the black church have a lot of mental health issues. All righty. Let's talk about it. Have mental health. My battery is good. I had to check my battery, y'all. Have mental health issues. You know why? Because they put God on everything, and they were using God as a blanket. What do you mean? What do you mean? Let's talk about it. In the church experience, we've seen it where instead of experiencing the emotions, instead of experiencing the grief, instead of experiencing the hardships of whatever you're going through in that season of life, instead of acknowledging what you're going through, they're like, oh, you know what? God will handle that. Okay, you're right. And this is very true. I'm a firm believer. Let's just say somebody is going through an addiction. I'm looking at my ceiling. Something is going on with my ceiling, y'all. Let's just say, theoretically, someone is going through an addiction. They come to the altar to get prayer. Lord, I need you to deliver me from whatever I'm addicted to. I'm a firm believer that in certain cases, God can take the taste out of your mouth right there. That is the supernatural power of God. I believe that. But for some, God didn't grace you for that. Now, if it's a demon, be cast out. You got to cast it. You can't cancel out a demon. That thing got to be cast out. But after the casting out, this is the part we missed, you need some therapy. You need somebody there to keep you accountable. You need somebody there to talk these things out through you to let you realize that what you just experienced, what you were going through, some of the bad things you did while you were in that state of mind, that wasn't you. That was what you were influenced by. Therapy. I'm a strong advocate for therapy. You need somebody to talk to. You need somebody to talk to. And not just your homeboy. And I know I'm on here trying to give some advice, but still, this is just coming from my mind. This is just coming off the top of my head. Don't take everything I say as if it is law and written in stone. Please, please, please. Sound like James Brown. I'm hollering, please, 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 please don't. But see, please go see a licensed therapist, okay? Have somebody, if you feel like there are Christian therapists, there are women therapists, men therapists, whoever you feel comfortable with, you need to go see a therapist. Let's talk through a few of these things. Let's get this up out of you, okay? Not only that, you need a faith. You need faith. You need God. I'm telling you. And I understand there's a lot of self-help out there nowadays, and you can do this on your own, and everything you need is within you. The devil is a lie. And I told y'all this is not a Christian podcast, but I am a Christian who has a podcast, and I dare not lead you in the wrong path. You cannot figure this out on your own strength. Because, and you'll get, and I'm not saying that you won't experience some success. I'm not saying you won't experience some degree of change. You will experience some of these things, but without God, you will only go so far. Huh? Because at a certain point, you are going to give out. And then once you give out, what's going to happen? We see it a lot of times. Why do these cycles end up happening? Here I am in my strength. Okay, I'm going around. Here I am in my strength, my strength, my strength, my strength, my strength. And somewhere around about here, my strength gives out. And then what happens? I revert. Because I haven't built up enough. I haven't built myself up enough. And then I go back to doing exactly what I used to do. Because I haven't built up that ability to get rid of those old habits. It's still a lingering there. And so when it comes back to try to get me, I'm too weak. I can't stand up against it. I'm too weak. How do we break these cycles? Get some therapy. Grow your faith in God, but also safe spaces. You cannot say that okay, here you're making these declarations. You have positive affirmations every morning. I want to be a better black man. I want to be a better person to society. I want to love humans better. I want to love my neighbor better. I want to love myself better and never change your environment. Now, granted, some individuals at the start of this process, you won't be able to just up and change your environment because to change an environment is an expensive thing to do. It is. But you have to somehow in some way start making the conscious decisions to disassociate yourself with the things that used to be attached to your former self. Okay? What does that mean? Okay, I'm deciding to make these changes. If the people around me don't want to change with me, all right, y'all, I'm good. And it's easier said than done, depending on your level of attachment, because some attachments are frail. Some of them are, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 folds in there tied together. It's going to be harder to sever. But what does that mean? If you truly desire to change your environments and start to create safe spaces. Because what needs to happen is oftentimes black men become like ticking time bombs. You're just taking it and taking it and taking it. I'm talking to somebody I can feel you on this podcast. I'm talking to somebody right now. You feel like a ticking time bomb. You've been taking it at your job. You've been taking it at the house. You've been taking it from your wife. You've been taking it from your children. You've been taking it from your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother. You've been taking it from everybody, and you feel like if you take one more thing, you're going to explode. You feel like you're just going to light up. And it gets so much to the point, if this would have happened 2 months ago, it wouldn't have been as bad. But because all of this stuff has been building up, you at that point. You at that point now. That when you explode, you going to explode big time. You going to let it go. You going to let it rip. Somebody about to get the business. Do you hear what I'm saying? Somebody is about to get got. So whereas 2 months ago, you might have been like, you know what? I'm about to just go off on, man, you about to let everybody have it. The dog, the children. You about to let everybody have it because you fed up. But how do you stop yourself from getting to that point? You create safe spaces. Create a group of people that you can be open with and open with in small batches. Don't treat people like dumpsters. People can't handle that. People can barely handle what's happening in their own lives. But if you need to, develop a community that you can talk with maybe once a week, right? Maybe if y'all do get a group chat. Y'all texting there every now and then, maybe not every day, maybe every other day and everything like that. Just sex. How are y'all mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually? What's going on? How we doing? This is how I'm feeling. Can I talk to y'all about this? I want y'all advice on this. One of the greatest things I've been able to do in life is to recognize and realize that in my life, I will not always be able to be around the people of my particular age group. What do I mean by that? Most of my friends, I have a group of brothers. I think 2 of them are in their 30s. 1 of them are in their late 20s. 1 of them is in their mid 20s. And here I am at 22. I attribute a lot of what I know and a lot of what I haven't done and all that stuff from them. And I've learned from them. And I remember I had my brother, and I know he doesn't mind me telling this story. What's going on, Daryl? I hope you're watching this episode, man. Daryl, last year in 2024, lost everything. No. 2023. It was 2023 or 2024. His house burned down. Whew. His house burned down. And he lost everything. He lost everything. And you know what is one of the greatest lessons I learned from that? Daryl had so much in his savings. He went through that whole period, wasn't working, lost his job, house burned down, wasn't working, nothing like that, and he was still living as if nothing happened. And maybe he was going through some more internal personal things on the inside, and I wasn't privy to those conversations. But I learned so much about how important it is to be financially responsible now, depending on what might happen in the future. I learned from him in that situation. I've learned to create safe spaces with them concerning things that I think I might want to do, and then I bring it to them, and they be like, Xavier, that's stupid. and they just blunt with me like that because we're all just blunt with one another. We're not soft or anything with one another. We're just very blunt. That's just our personalities. If you have to be soft with your friend group, that's fine. That's just our personalities that gets cohesive. But in our friend group, we're just blunt with one another. We're from the South. That's just kind of how we were raised. We're just blunt with one another. And, they just be like, Xavier, that's stupid. Don't do that. And it's just who we are with one another. That safe space has been created with that situation. Okay, let's just say this. You already have a community established, and you're trying to break into that way to let them know that, hey, this is the route I'm about to start taking. This is the route. Just open up. Be vulnerable. Be honest. Be transparent. And transparency is easier said than done, especially if you've experienced moments in your life where people have taken advantage of your transparency, where people have used what you said, they've used what you've done, they use it against you. When you were being vulnerable, they came back and used it against you later on. It's very easier said than done. But you still commit to those safe spaces and creating those communities. Okay? So here we are, we're getting ready to hit the end of the episode here. And I just want to say it again. Black men are struggling and no one is talking about it. And I'm thankful that I've used this platform today to talk about it. This conversation needs to be normalized. It needs to be normalized. The question of how are you today? Let's start treating that with something. How are you really? I work in, like I said, I work here in New Orleans, but I work specifically in downtown New Orleans. It's disheartening how many young black men I see that are homeless, that are, doing wayward things. And my thing in my head is, I always ask this question internally, how did they get there? What were the steps that led to this? Because while I am acknowledging that some individuals are born into certain things, but oftentimes many aren't. And they took gradual steps to get to that point. But I want to say this, and this is going to be the inspirational rant for the day. I want to make this statement to black men. If you're watching this, you're a black man any age. At some point, you've dealt with a struggle. And you might find yourself dealing with finding your purpose and identity outside of your struggle. I want to encourage you. You are not your struggle, okay? You deserve to heal. I know you did some horrible things. I know you struggled. I know you were in places where you weren't able to provide for certain people. You had the best intentions, but you didn't feel like you had the tools to better yourself. You didn't feel like you had the tools to do these things. You are more than your struggle. You deserve to heal from that. Take the time to heal. It's not selfish to heal. Don't let anyone make you think that healing is a selfish process. Okay? You heal. You get yourself together. Because how can you be there for other people if you are broken into pieces? You need to be made whole. You need to heal. You need to find your purpose in life. You will have to ask for forgiveness for those people at some point in time, because the things you did were the things you did. Acknowledge that the things you did were the things you did. Be accountable. Be held accountable for it. But still know that you got to heal from it. You got to heal from it. Yes, I did those things to those women. Yes, I did those fraudulent things. Yes, I used to be a liar. Yes, I used to be a cheater. Yes, I used to do all of these things. But now I'm in the era of my life where I'm healing. I'm healing. I'm becoming a better man for my father. I'm becoming a better man for my mother. I'm becoming a better man for my wife, my girlfriend. I'm becoming a better man for my children. I'm healing. I'm finding purpose in life. I'm moving ahead. I'm moving forward. I'm not allowing my past to dictate my future. I'm taking today to move forward and move ahead. Okay? That's been this episode. Black men are struggling. No one is talking about it. What are we going to do? What are you going to do to help out this topic? You have something to give, whether that's just a word of encouragement. Take this moment right now. Here we go. Take this moment right now. Text a black man on your phone. Tell him you love him, right? Let him know that you're there for him. You might not. Here we go. Peter and another disciple is headed up to the temple. A man is sitting there at the temple at the gate called Beautiful. The man is begging alms. Peter looks at him and says, "Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have I give unto thee." The man jumped. They pray with the man. The man jumps up, leaps up. He's healed. You might not have silver and gold to give, but you have something to give that can invigorate that person into the next season of their life. Ooh, that's good to me. That's so good to me. You might not have the money to give a person, but the knowledge, the wisdom that you have on the inside of you could be just what that person needs to get to the next stage in their life. Look, the outro is coming. Thank y'all so much for being with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, drop in the comments. Black men deserve to heal. I love y'all. Y'all have an amazing day. Listen, that's a wrap, folks, for I Rant Too with Xavier D. Lewis. Look, I hope you were able to find some insights and inspiration in what we discussed on today. Look, once again, if you're watching on your favorite podcast platform, if you like what you heard, go ahead and click that like button and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can keep up with all of our latest content. Look, I want to hear your voice. Leave a comment. Reach out to us on our social media platforms on Instagram and Facebook at I Rant Too with Xavier D. Lewis. Look, always remember, get an inspiration, stay strong, stay vigilant, and don't ever forget this: keep ranting too. Y'all have an amazing day. Love y'all.